Hi, Nick here. It's the end of March and we've actually moved from the vineyard into the cellar. And if you can smell what I'm smelling, you're going to smell fermentation. But as you know, at Oldenburg, we do natural fermentation. So we don't add any yeast to the wines. We do what they call wild yeast fermentation. So a lot of winemakers will tell you that fermentation actually comes from the yeast that's floating around in the cellar, and that if you've ever used commercial yeast in your cellar, the yeast will be floating around, it'll be stuck on the equipment, and that's what does the fermentation. But at Oldenburg, we've always only used wild yeast, which is found on the grapes. So what we have is a DNA fingerprint of Rondekop with the culture of yeast, which only occurs here at Oldenburg during our fermentations. But yeast can be very fickle, and wild yeast even more fickle. So between myself and Lucilia, we really have to nurture the yeast by monitoring the temperature, by looking at the nutrients, by stirring the barrels when the yeast slows down to make sure that the fermentation is dry. So in the beginning of the fermentation, till about 8% alcohol, we have the wild yeast which takes over the fermentation. This can be a Clucera species, a Decorus species. There are many wild yeasts out there. But after 8% fermentation, or 8 degrees alcohol fermentation, we get the Saccharomyces cerevisiae, which are our yeast, which then do the fermentation. And they will carry the fermentation till the end, till the yeast has actually consumed all the sugar and converted to alcohol. So what we have here is a true version of Rondekop of the Bannock Valley. We're not manipulating in any way and adding any form of yeast from a packet. We're using what nature has given to us.